Aloha, I'm Representative Kimberly Pine, and I want to share with you something wonderful that's going on in the Ewa Beach area through the Hoakalei Cultural Foundation. And while there's a lot of development going on in the Ewa Plain, I wanted to share with you what many in the community are doing to preserve and honor our past. And so what you're about to see here is some old timers from the community and people who know this community very well, that we're going to share with you what we're going to be doing to ensure that while there is development going on, that we are still honoring our past and telling stories of what happened here before everything came to this region.
Before we started, as you can see, the area looks, for those of you who were here last time, the area looks pretty much the same as when we were here last year. It was a year ago now. But one significant change from our point of view is right across the street here. You see the topsoil being brought in to establish the nursery area. This is where the native plants that will be planted here and will replace this invasive alien vegetation, the Kauhale and the Kiave. Native plants will eventually replace these. We hope to get started on that fairly soon as the nursery is established. And what we'll be doing is implementing the plan that you have in your packet that has a path through here and then a cultural center for auntie folks over in the area down to the side over here without the trees. And what we'll be doing is implementing that starting from Mauka and working Makai. And we're going to take baby steps at first so the community can begin to get involved and we can build up community participation in this, and then grow as this grows within our community. So I wanted to bring you up to date on where we are, the fact that we have made some progress even though things look the same right here today. Next time when we come back next year, I think you're going to see some change to the area, moving toward this vision of using this as a place to teach people about the history and the traditions of Ewa here. Any questions about that? Okay. Did you want to say something?
This section here, based on my research, is the Heiau section. The complex that was approved is over a mile long, going to where the Lions Club used to be, all the way to here. So it's a long section. There is EV that is buried here. In fact, the people who were here last time, where you saw me go patunk, that's where the EV is. I fell where the EV is under. This section is a heiau. This section over here, there are idols buried underneath this area. But this part of the complex was part of the Nu'u Tower that they did the prayers for bringing in rain and for the fishing. On the other side, you had a Papakilo stone that showed it. There's a map that designates the Papakilo Hoku stone by Vaipo Uli that shows where to go to Lanai. It was a marking stone, and it is placed on an ancient map that the Kingdom of Hawaii has. And there were concubine places where Kalani'Kupuli's concubines lived. There are places for purification where the women's section is, a place for fishing and nets. And on the other side were heiaus for the fishing heiaus. So it's spread over a large area. This complex here was basically the heiau complex. As you go past this area, there used to be a spring here before they cut it off on the mountain sides to bring in the sugarcane fields. But the reason why there was an alkali pool is it's part of the underground aquifer system. When you have sinkholes, they're collapsed caves that used to have fresh water in them. When you pull the fresh water out, it can no longer saturate like a sponge and hold up the sides, and that's one of the reasons why they collapsed. And James Campbell cut off all the springs at the mountains to divert the wells to use for irrigation for the sugarcane area. So you're not going to get all 7 sites here. This is only one of 6 others that are there. And there's a storage cave that's by the ocean side. It's on the map. I designated where foot, the Konahikis would come here as well and collect the Konahiki tribute.
What map are you referring to?
It's a map that's designated part of the burial plan map, and on there I put all the different sites at Oahu.
Is that available?
Not to my knowledge, it was in closed session for the Oahu Island Burial Council.
And in the spirit of inclusiveness, I was just wondering, can we?
Well,
look at that?
we're gonna delineate, but we're working with Kai and OHA, so a lot of that we've been working with OHA to actually GPS sites, so those things are being done. Specifics, you'd have to take it up with Kai Markel.
How can they specify the location? How specific? Can we identify that this particular area is the entrance that goes underneath? Do we need to dig something up to prove it? You know, and those are all kind of things that if there's nothing going to be developed in this area, then a lot of the thought is, you know what, we let things stay where they are, but we are aware that this place is sacred and significant to the extent maybe we can restore walls or sites or platforms to kind of bring that ano back to the area. We can work on that as a community, as a hui, as a family. You know, we can help bring life back to this place. But the big issue is, of course, where the marina is going to come through, because that is imminent construction. So that's where my focus really is right now. And Kauhale was found in that area. So we want to make sure, as that goes through the beach, that there isn't any other kupuna that come up or mea kapu or whatever. These are other areas. It's going to be a long process to try and bring life back to it in the mo'olelo and actually get the sites delineated whether we want to or not, because that brings them back to being in jeopardy too. You know, and people go through great lengths to, and it's happening today, you know, they'll bust through 4 feet of concrete to get into a cave to take the po'o. They will spend days coming and digging at night and then come in and take things out, and it still happens today. And our responsibility is the balance of bringing the mo'olelo back to this beautiful place, but not jeopardizing the elites that are here, and who knows other components that we're not aware of, but they're here too. So it's always a very careful balance, you know. But I think if we all work together, that's the way it's going to be successful. You know, we just got to have patience, and the development has its own time schedule. It's got to get things done. So those are the areas where if there's earth disturbance that affect any of these sites, that's what I really want to focus on that. And I think the marina coming to the beach right now is a big point, that whether we have extra monitors or however we're going to deal with that situation. And that's where we work with Kuchi and SHPD, because, you know, there's a lot of this going on across the state. As important as this is right now, there's a lot of things happening, you know, and everybody's spread kind of thin right now. So we're trying to do the best we can. Our biggest concern right now for me is really where Kauhale was found and that imminent breach of that beach. So that's.
I just wanted to understand that we're okay to move forward with our preservation plan, and then we're going to move forward with that, with the Kauhale Preserve area.
Yeah, I mean, that's
Okay.
fine, and it's beautiful. We mahalo you for that.
Okay.
So.
And that we understand your concerns regarding the marina entrance area, and we made sure we've done extensive testing, and we have other things that we will do and put in place whenever we get to that time. But
Yeah.
it's still a long ways from today, so
What is the timeline on that, Nance?
you're probably looking at, you know, maybe at least 5 more years.
It's on the surface, but our mana'o kind of parallels what Mike was saying regarding marking its karst system and the significance of the karst or the caves with what it provided in terms of sustainability for this area, in terms of water, agriculture, and all that kind of stuff. So our mana'o was that this karst, which provided a conduit for the vayukan in the waters, that it served a significance. So you could not see it on the surface, but our mana'o at that time was that the surrounding landscape around this particular ahu was kind of markers for something that you could not see. And I'm trying to look for that particular ahu. The reason why we thought the ahu was really important is because what we did at that time, we took a map of Malden's map, 1825. And what we did is that we created an overlay of a more current map. And there's several trails. One particular trail, well, there's actually 2 trails that connect. They start somewhere around here, the other one starts at Hoakalei. And they connect with the resources of Honolulu. But that particular one that came out of this area